Hey there, Adrienne Elise here. Welcome to the SuperNova Astrology Update for November 18th through 25th, 2024. Wow, well, we're just coming off of the very potent and powerful full moon in Taurus, and that happened this week on the 15th, and that happened right next to Uranus. So that means that the sun came into opposition with Uranus, and that happened exactly on yesterday, the 17th of November. So we're feeling this for the next few days. Very powerful activation of the sun opposite Uranus on the heels of that Taurus full moon, highlighting the deep quintessential issues of our time represented by Uranus in Taurus. Uranus, our higher frequency vibrations and possibilities, awakening, spiritual potential. And in Taurus, do we deserve it? Are we good enough? Can we handle it? So this is what this is about. But this opposition with the sun and the moon with Uranus for this full moon was an activation of a heightening of our psychic powers and awareness of energies and frequencies in our body. And then the sun opposing Uranus for these last few days and the next couple of days is about shining the light on who we really are. It's kind of like the full moon was like little electrical vibration. It's like, oh, awakening. Uranus is often called the awakener. And here we are. Now Uranus is on center stage because everybody's talking about how we're finally, maybe, are we moving into the age of Aquarius with Pluto now getting ready, poised this week to move into Aquarius for good this cycle. Pluto has been in Capricorn since 2008. And so Pluto in Capricorn is about building, destroying structures that are no longer serving us, building new structures that can support our evolution and destroying those. A glorious demolition. We're seeing this all around us. And we can't even begin to understand the level of change that's required and is happening behind the scenes. And maybe we don't even know on a cellular level in our bodies. But the moving into the Aquarian age, which is indicated by Pluto moving over into Aquarius, that happens November 20th, is going from this into this. Aquarian age is supposed to be a golden age, an age of abundance. And so it's very powerful to have Uranus, the ruler of Aquarius, in Taurus around whether or not we deserve or have havingness for this wealth within us. And this sun opposite Uranus just as Pluto's about to move over into Aquarius. So it's telling us that, yes, it's a golden age of abundance, but it might be different than what we think because we've been programmed to think that abundance is money and material wealth. And the golden age appears to be something quite different, abundance, and has to do with energy and frequency and vibration. So that's kind of what this full moon was telling us, and that it's our inheritance, the abundance that's coming to us is what was stolen. What's been stolen from us supernova souls is our permission and knowledge, wisdom, memory, for our full expression of our full potential as spiritual beings. We've been quarantined and way too low of a frequency. And this is coming to an end. There's nothing that can stop this. It's just, we're at this place. And so this is very important. If these issues are speaking to you, go back and get this last full moon activation, Taurus full moon activation, get the replay, because very powerful, complete overhaul of what it means to inherit or reclaim our wealth, and in energetic wealth, and a really powerful picture of that, and a literal feeling and receiving of this energy. in our bodies, this free energy. This is who we are. It's written all over in the astrology right now. Everything is saying that we have to face and remember, face the darkness around who we are, the sun in Scorpio, so that we can awaken and come into this full potential. And so we take back our freedom by coming into our light. Now, this is a lot of what this upcoming retrograde season is all about. We're kind of inching our way into the Mars retrograde, which is the highlight of this retrograde season, this next 6 months of astrology. And this week we have Mercury turning retrograde on November 26th. So Mercury will be retrograde in Sagittarius, and then that will move us right into the Mars retrograde starting on December 7th. And that happens, and Mars has already gone through the end of Cancer, the beginning of Leo, retrograding back into the end of Cancer. So we're looking at nurturing, a culmination of nurturing for shining our light and coming into our potential. Mars, our warrior, our masculine, our male, standing up as a warrior for balance and harmony. And then that is what allows us to come in and shine our light, to fully express the truth of who we are. And that's what is activating within us. We cannot hide it. Now, it does seem like a lot of people, they're just kind of floating along, still asleep. And it's hard when you're like, whoa, what is going on here? One of the energetic and a definition or an example description of the energetic inheritance that we are claiming back and is coming to us is this this energy of joy and ecstasy at simply existing. That is our birthright. So when you're in this level of abundance in your energy field, you cannot even begin to harbor one thought of scarcity. It's just not possible. There's no way, if you feel this good, the mother's not going to take care of your every need. It's just going to come. It's just going to manifest. So we're starting to understand that we have been blocked in our higher intuitive faculties and abilities, our higher intuitive knowing, our pineal gland, pituitary gland, and our abilities to create our own reality. And so when you have this energy generating, this positive nectar that's available in the physical body, in our very own field, this translates to an abundant energetic field. Now, if we're going to start generating a whole bunch of energy, and it's like, oh, we're energy generators, right? We're free energy, we're electricity, we're figuring this out. But how can we do that if we're going to leak it out and give it away to forces that will misuse it? And this is the quintessential issue. Going all the way back to everything I talk about, Atlantean time, every time we go back to this. But the Atlantean time was about using our energy and the technology that we brought supernova souls and we're working with in harmony with the earth and humanity. And then it was misused for harm and great harm. And then we were blamed for it, and we took the blame. And so if we're going to take back the inheritance that's ours, it is taking back the technology that's been stolen from us. And it's happening in our very own field, and it is this free energy, and it is this ability to fully use our whole being, all of our chakras and our abilities coming online, which the message coming forward is an ecstatic existence. That's the energy, that's the place, that's the vibration where you can begin to create your own reality when you know you're fully enmeshed and aligned with the mother. We had a deep communion with the mother in this last activation. Go get it. So beautiful. Just really feeling the fortification of our field that comes from walking with her. Now, this is everything the astrology is telling us again and again, that in order to move forward into the new age, we've got to reintegrate the feminine, get her in her rightful place, which is on the throne. And what this really means is what came through the activation is, so we got a correction. Mom gave us a correction on what we believe or what we're seeing as the feminine in our world. And if we're going to say the return of the feminine, and it seems like, oh, well, women need to do this or whatever, or this has to do with that. It's like, no, the feminine is all of us, because we all have masculine and feminine within. The feminine is all of us. Bringing the feminine back into our world to balance is all of us beginning, once again, to listen, to receive, to use our intuition, to listen to our body, our emotions, to let the voice of the mother be heard. And so that's through our own intuition. And so the feminine in our world, and the warrior, Mars the warrior, fighting for this, we're nurturing ourselves back into this balance so we can shine our light. Maybe we've been seeing a thing like, well, the masculine's going to go and support and pave the way for the feminine. But it's like, we can't turn our light on at all until we put them back together in their rightful place. And Mary is still in the dungeon. Okay, so astrology is so epic and so powerful as it's playing out this saga, the greatest story never fully told. We've got such an activation right now with the nodes of the moon. The nodes of the moon are getting ready in January to move signs. They stay about a year and a half in a sign. They've been in North Node Aries, South Node Libra. So now they move backwards. So that means that the North Node is moving into the sign of Pisces. So we've got to talk about this cusp, which is this, I believe it's January 12th. That the nodes switch signs. January 12th. So this is really powerful because in this whole retrograde saga, I'm going to try to keep this all straight. I'll come around to it, right? In this whole retrograde saga, we've got Mercury retrograde in Sag, Mars retrograde, Cancer, Leo, and then we've got another Mercury retrograde. And that Mercury retrograde, it happens at the same time as a Venus retrograde, almost the same degrees, with Pisces and Aries. Okay, so the retrogrades, Venus retrograde and Mercury, crossing paths, going over each other, moving into Aries, back into Pisces, back into Aries. Right after, that's in March and April, those are going to be resolving and happening. And that's right after the nodes move from Aries to Pisces. So we have to look at this this cusp, okay? Because we've talked about Jupiter and Saturn and how they come together every 20 years and they're like a generational marker. Saturn's like the old way we've been doing it. Jupiter's the new ideas, the new king. Old king, new king coming together to reconcile. Now, we had our last Jupiter conjunction, Saturn conjunction at the end of 2020. And so this is called the Great Conjunction when Jupiter and Saturn come together. When Jupiter and Saturn come together and they switch signs, okay, so for about 200 years for a Jupiter-Saturn cycle, they'll come together in one element, right? So they've been in Earth signs for the last 200 or so years. They've just shifted over, and that's what happened in 2020. First, we had them together in Capricorn, then we had them together in Aquarius. So we've got them moving into air signs. So now for the next 200 years or so, they're going to be in air signs, marking the new renaissance. This is a lot of why I keep talking about this new renaissance, this activation of the air element when we integrate our society back together. We reclaim our true history, our technology. We put back together science, spirit, religion. We access our connection and creation energy with source by being creative and creating beautiful things. And so that's the energy. Now, this is the deal. It's like, so there's a great conjunction when Jupiter and Saturn come together. When Jupiter and Saturn come together and they're switching signs, then it's a greater conjunction. Elements, right? Every 200 years. The greatest conjunction is that happens around every 2,000 years. And that's when they make the conjunctions where they did when Jesus was born in the fishes and the ram. Okay, so the Christmas star at the time of Yeshua's birth was said to be a Jupiter-Saturn conjunction, and they made 3 conjunctions, and they went back and forth between Pisces and Aries. So that's called the greatest conjunction, and that happens when Jupiter and Saturn come together at this cusp. Do you see what's happening here? The January 2025, bam, now that's right when this Mercury retrograde resolves. Okay, Mercury starts retrograde on November 26th at 22 degrees Sag, goes back to 6 degrees Sagittarius, and turns direct on the 16th of December, and then comes out of retrograde shadow on the 4th of January. And so it's like right off the bat, 2025 has such a different energy and a very powerful energy moving us into saying it's a completely new world. And so is that why we need multiple retrogrades, 6 months of our personal planets in retrograde? You know, I mean, the way it lines up, it's like, oh God, Mercury retrograde, Mars retrograde, Mercury, Venus retrograde, whoa, but get this. When the Venus and Mercury retrogrades happen, they happen on this cusp between the fishes and the ram. Okay, so Venus goes from 24 degrees Pisces, or from 10 degrees Aries to 24 degrees Pisces. Mercury goes from 9 degrees Aries to 26 degrees Pisces. And that all happens in March and April. Mercury, or the Venus retrograde, Venus direct will happen on April 13th, and out of shadow, Venus out of shadow, not till May. And that's pretty much when the Mars retrograde finally resolves as well. So, wow, it's quite a powerful time we're entering into. And that's where I felt like at this point in time right now, as we're this week, as Mercury begins to turn retrograde, it's like kind of feeling like things grinding to a halt. And it's like, hold on. Now, part of that hold on is we can't keep going the way we're going. That energy has to do with Jupiter and Saturn. We said they came together as a conjunction in 2020, and then they had a sextile this year and last year. A very sweet sextile, or actually a couple times this year is when that sextile happened between these planets in Pisces and Taurus. And now we're moving into the square. So about every 5 years, they come into a square, and then opposition every 10, and then the other square, So now we're looking at the next chapter of the Jupiter-Saturn saga. And the last one said, hey, it's a new renaissance. We're moving into the age of Aquarius. It's like the next cycle is different. You know, we finally are getting over a hump, reclaiming the Christ consciousness timeline, putting back our pieces together in this new renaissance. So now Jupiter and Saturn are going to be squaring up, and that happens December 24th and 25th. And they will come together, they will square at 13 and 14 degrees. Saturn moving direct from 13 to 14, Jupiter moving retrograde from 14 to 13. It's very powerful numbers. So, it's very dynamic. It's very shifting. It's very changing. It's very like a picture of particle or, energies beginning to communicate with each other in new ways. And so it comes back to this activating thing. But we've got, so Jupiter and Saturn are square for Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, but we're going to feel that for pretty much the whole month of December and halfway into January. So this is flavoring our transition into 2025, saying it's not going to be the same. Okay, so Jupiter square Saturn is Jupiter in Gemini, Saturn in Pisces. Saturn is now direct. Saturn will move over into Aries, the same spot, right? Holy crap, we've got the nodes going over, we've got Venus and Mars, Mercury retrograding over this spot, and we've got Saturn retrograding over this spot as well. So it's a new day, it's a new way, it's a new chapter, because Aries, the Aries point, 0 degrees Aries, is a rebirth. That's why Yeshua represented a rebirth. Yeshua represented the birth of Christ consciousness accessible to all. Like there's something that happened in the events and in the energies of that time, which exactly mirrored in astrology, that we now have more access individually in our own energy field to the Christ consciousness. And then the Piscean Age, the dark forces were like, oh no, you don't. Tackled that shit down, burn you at the stake, exterminate you the moment you get anywhere close to what? Turning your light on. Turning your Christ consciousness light on. We're turning our light on. We are transistors. We are transformers. We are free energy. And this is what's coming forward more and more with this coming up on the next installment of the Owning Your Energetic Field course this Thursday. And this course is about understanding the power of the chakra system in relation to the energetic field. Owning and containing our energetic field, like we're saying, hey, if we're going to turn our power and our light on, we can't keep leaking it out to the false power structures because they want to create trauma and drama. Right? So that's why the Aquarian Age is an age of abundance. That's why the Aquarian Age requires our spiritual autonomy. And that's, again and again, we're getting this message. So that's the Owning Your Energetic Field course. It's like, okay, I'm a transistor. I've got this like electrical being and I want to learn how to turn it on. First, we better learn how to contain and understand this incredible organ we have, which is way more real and way more dynamic, and it carries all of our memories and all of our health and all of our everything, and it's invisible to us, but we feel it. It's our energy field. They don't want us to know we even have it. It's been hijacked by modern technology. So this owning your energetic field and being aware of yourself as an autonomous field is incredibly important. And we've got 2 more classes in that series. Moving into, we've got the crown chakra class and then an integration class. We put everything we've learned together, and activation of the light body. We're doing it. We're turning it on. Everything is pointing to this. I mean, look at this. Mars retrograde. So this next 6 months of the personal planets in retrograde, the main energy of it is Mars retrograde. It lasts the longest, and it's in Cancer and Leo. So we're nurturing ourselves back into shining our light, nurturing the feminine back into expression. And that's a lot of what the Jupiter square is about Saturn, because Jupiter in Gemini, now these are mutable signs, and mutable signs are about changing and adjusting and rearranging. And so we're talking about a new expression. Gemini's the new wisdom, new knowledge, expansion, expression into the future. And so amplification. So it's an amplified voice. And then Saturn is the Piscean Age, the laws and rules of the Piscean Age, and the false authorities of the obstacles of the lower matrix. So it's basically saying that because Jupiter and Saturn in square is like, we can't keep going the way we're going. 2024 has to grind to a halt with multiple retrograde energies, Jupiter square Saturn on Christmas Day, and just grind to a halt so that we can stop all the madness, all the hurting and the harm, with the technologies and the toxicity and the targeting and the attack of humanity that's happening. We have no idea what we're going through right now just to exist. And just keep it up, Supernova Soul, because you're on the front line. And that's why it's been so intense. Keep living, breathing, loving, claim this ecstasy of the moment, claim this union with Mother. That's how we claim back our organic, loving Mother Earth, is we immerse ourselves in nature. And we feel ourselves as a part of her. And then we are affirming our organic, loving Mother Earth available for all of us. She says, bring them back home to me. So it's very powerful. Now, what we're feeling right now today is that Mercury is in exact opposition on the 18th of November, Mercury in exact opposition to Jupiter. So Mercury in Sag, opposite of Jupiter, the ruler of Sagittarius in Gemini. Now, Sagittarius, we're getting a massive activation in Sag with this Mercury retrograde. Mercury spending a long time in Sagittarius and not leaving the sign for the retrograde, so from 6 degrees to 22 degrees. So anywhere with mutable signs, but particular Sagittarius of these degrees, it's a huge activation. Mercury is about understanding. So it's coming to an understanding, a greater understanding. And Sagittarius is about the greater view, the greater picture, the bigger picture. So we're trying to come to a greater understanding of the bigger picture, of the quest, of the mission, of the purpose, it's like Sagittarius just wants to get on with the story, right? And be in the story, to see the bigger picture, to it's the hero's journey. And that's where we've all been. And Sagittarius says, yes, this is real. The dream is real. Your life has not been wasted. You are an amazing miracle. And the path is coming along and sparkling only if you can see it. Like this Sagittarius energy. Now we're going to start feeling this basically a very special day, I think November 22nd, when the sun moves into Sag, because that's going to activate this Mercury retrograde and this whole Sag energy. Like Mercury retrograde is always about we don't have all the information we need. So the information we need is about the bigger spiritual quest of the human being and soul through this whole evolution, which is the greatest story that's never been fully told because we caught her out of it, So we're talking about bringing the feminine back into our lives and back into balance. We're talking about listening to our intuition. We're talking about learning the mysteries, the ancient goddess mysteries, which is also free energy technology. Oh, so it's an incredible adventure that we're on. And don't forget this. And maybe that's the Sag gift of this Sag, because Rudolf Steiner talked about this time of the year that around the end, at the 29th actually of September, that Saint Michaelmas or Saint Michael's Day. And that starts this whole season shown in the weather of the Northern Hemisphere, the darkness coming and finding our light within. So it's about fighting the dragon, and this is the Scorpio season and going into the darkness and then finding our own light. So Sagittarius has this energy. It happens, the end of Michaelmas season is right there around Thanksgiving time, or when the sun moves into Sag this year on the 22nd. And so that's when we come up like the phoenix out of the ashes, out of the deep dive, out of the darkness, out of election season, and into a new possible future. And that Sag is like, wow, see the bigger picture of why we're doing all this. And we really need this right now. We really need to align and validate on a deep level who you are, supernova soul, not the clothes you wear and the name tags and the shoes and all that. Like, who are you really? And that's the sun opposite Uranus is like, oh. So validating who we are really means a complete crumbling of all that we're not and everything that everyone has always wanted us to be or told us we are. And a lot of that was our own. Like I see a lot of supernova souls, like all this you've worked for and you just never gave up and you fought and you fought and you fought. But then we have this whole thing where it's like, well, I built this beautiful structure or somehow I hobbled it together with all these obstructions and everything. But it's like, it's not the structure that's going to take you forward from here. And it's really depressing, but that's not the work you came here to do. What did you come here for? This is a big, powerful message that came through the activation too. It's like, we know, seeing more and more, maybe this is the Sagittarius energy helping us see that this is a play. This is a consciousness experiment. We're not trying to attain anything here besides our consciousness, our freedom. Everything that's happening to you is trying to set you free right now. And maybe that's this intense pressure. A lot of supernova souls just feeling like you're in that jack in the box and that pressure cooker. And that's really what's going on because you're being prepared. to jump out of the box. And the box that this world has put you in, supernova soul, through persecution, lifetime after lifetime, targeting and hunting down the light, and doing everything to try to feed on it. See, this is the thing. We think about this control forces in the world, and we can see it with all the money games, but then we're like, wait a minute. These alien demonic creatures, aliens, they don't need money. They're not interested at all in money on any level. So what are they using money to try to get from us? Our power, our energy. We are a source. And this is why it's like, wait, if we really are a fractal of source and we have access to creation energy in our very own body, we should feel a little bit better than most of us feel. Down in the dumps, heavy, burdened, scared, uncertain. This is the effect of the toxicity of this world deliberately dumbing us down. And so it's a really interesting time that we're living in, the message coming through that your awakening is there for you. As you can allow, as you're ready, as you feel safe, working with the guardian of the threshold. This is in that we've working with in the intuitive or the owning your energetic field course. But also that we can detox at the speed with which we're ready to come back into our faculties. Because it's like this whole structure is designed to try to block our awakening. I mean, that was COVID, everything. It's really about that, And so we don't understand that if we took away all the controls that are going on, all the toxicity, the frequencies, the grid that are trying to keep us in low vibrational frequency, trying to keep us from our awakening activation, we'd turn right on immediately. Is that the suddenness of what's coming? Because it's kind of like that grid has to go down, we know. And then we come up. Are we ready? Can we handle it? So the detoxing at the pace, detoxing your body like a heavy metal detox is kind of like the way these things present in our bodies. It's just like what helps them is what would help, basically a heavy metal detox. And so you can detox to the point, at the speed and rate gently as you're ready to awaken. Because if these controls come off, maybe that's our calling right now. Is to know that we're saying yes to stepping into our awakening, that we're not scared anymore. We know this is what we're here for because it's going to be freaky. We can handle it. We've already done this, but for the rest of people who have no idea what's going on, they're going to be freaking out. We've got to own it, feel comfortable and step into the highest vibration, turn our light on, turn our electricity on, start co-creating the magic world we know is possible right here, right now. Every day right now, I feel like there's this message of almost like this time interference energy. And maybe that has to do with these advanced technologies being used against us, like CERN and HARP and stuff like that. It's like interfering with our ability to stay in linear time. And I know you've noticed this. And it's not exactly, but I think the word it's coming through kind of like an abduction. And so if you're noticing time passing in weird ways, it's like, there's something coming forward, like as you get closer to owning your field and really turning your light on, there's these interferences that kind of put you back in time. And it's almost like, is that what happened to us? Because if you trace these Saturn-Jupiter conjunctions throughout time, you'll find that the control forces created a drama experience right after. That's why the sextile is so important. That we just experienced this year. And so there's like an attack. It's like Jupiter and Saturn coming together is bringing in new information and a new timeline. And so the forces of control then bring in drama as a way to stop that consciousness, right? And so that's maybe the important information is that everything that's held back our consciousness has to do with artificially mechanically holding back our consciousness. Our consciousness revolution happens all on its own, right? So you take away the controls And then it's like, and this is the energy of the astrology. It's like, we know we've been inching forward in a new paradigm. We're like banging at the door, but at some point, this snowball starts to roll, you know? And we're right there, except we've got all these retrogrades. So let's kind of talk this through, because I think it's really important to understand that feeling like things are grinding to a halt does not mean they're stopping. It means we're going within to prepare for this massive change of where we step forward into the world, into the light as who we are, you know, and we need to be ready for this. Like, this is everything you've been going through for the last years and lifetimes. So it's an initiation. Mars retrograde is always an initiation, but this one is very, very powerful because of what we just talked about. You know, so Saturn, we talked about basically this massive activation of the cusp of Pisces and Aries, the nodes moving over, Mercury and Venus retrograding, and Saturn. Also, Saturn's going to make it just to 1 degree of Aries and then retrograde back into Pisces. Neptune is also doing this. Neptune will be moving into Aries and then retrograding back into Pisces in 2026. And Neptune in Pisces, we've gotten this message that it's like a review, a rehash, a clearing and healing, clearing the delusions, reclaiming the miracles and magic of the Piscean Age. So this last bit of time, we got Saturn going over this cusp. I mean, it starts really with that Mercury and Mars doing a retrograde, and Saturn for the first going over that cusp. So when Saturn goes over that Aries point, it's very, very powerful. And that happens in February, I believe. And it's that marker. January, the nodes switch. Saturn goes over February. Then we've got those retrogrades. So everything in the astrology is saying that we are getting used to and figuring out how to move forward in a completely new world. So it does confirm that we are moving into the age of Aquarius, and that's the celebration of this week. You know, Pluto making the move over. And it's like, are you done with the chains? Because when we felt Pluto go to Aquarius and go back into Capricorn, it felt so heavy. And the end degrees of Capricorn just so heavy, like it's just this, like the man, the authority coming down on you, you know, and it's like, oh no, you don't. You thought you were getting somewhere, like, and so what happens now that Pluto moves into Aquarius is not going to go back into Capricorn. What's that going to be like? And it is like this invitation, that higher timeline, Christ consciousness timeline, heaven on earth. We step into this invitation to tend to our vibration, to come into connection with the mother, and be willing to shift and change whatever needs to shift on any level to be able to step into this ideal timeline and this beautiful, loving vibration of the mother coming back to us, that we're leading the way by immersing ourselves in her love, her body's our body, and moving into the ecstatic experience that life on earth is meant to be. So this is a very important message, I think, that came through the activation that can help us through this retrograde time. And a lot of things with this, the ego death and losing everything that you thought was important, not knowing what you're doing or how to move forward. It's just so uncomfortable. And yet we're also, it's about, we know that we're learning. This is this Mars retrograde too. It's like we're shining our light, but we're coming into the leaders that we are, but we need to do it in a different way. Like the integrated masculine and feminine, and what does that even look like? We don't know. So we have to figure all this stuff out. And also the navigation of working in the feminine, reintegrating the feminine, is like you don't just move forward and push and make lists and be productive in the way that we did before, right? It's like a completely new way to really get stuff done in the way we really want to move. You gotta like vision, rest, wait till the movement moves you, listen, take a step, wait for the universe to respond, listen to the signs, be willing to adjust. No, we're in a co-creation, so it's not your plan anymore. And so all that, but the message what's come forward is where we want to be masculine, and where the masculine is, maybe this is part of the Mercury in Sagittarius retrograde, supporting us and being strong in the vision, the holding fast. Now, this is the original vision. This is the highest vision. This is the source vision. This is Mother's dream of what she wanted to become in her ascension, her evolution. And we get to be a part of it as her body, as conscious participants in her body. So she says, hold fast to that vision. Like, just be a warrior. Get a spine, get a backbone, hold fast to that vision, which means being in the energy of the right and the good and the true at every turn. Just being there. You don't have to tell anybody anything. You don't have to call anybody out. You don't have to do anything. You just have to be the witness, and you have to be strong. You have to be a warrior. And the vision of her world, of this compassionate nurturing for all life, for the support, life giving, life supporting. Passion, love, healing, listening again to the voice. But she says, hold fast to this vision, that original picture as you, as a petal of her lotus, there at the original inception of this earth evolution. She's being reborn. Oh, the astrology is saying it again and again and again. And we get to be reborn with her. So she says, hold fast to that vision, the Gaia codes, the original picture of what I wanted to become. Hold fast to this alignment with me, in this knowing of what's right and good and true, and you don't need to argue or worry about anything else. You don't even have to do it. She will do it. We just hold the energy and get out of the way. So she says, see if we can get the message out. Hold fast to the vision. Be flexible in all else. Okay? So this is a picture of like every level of your life, every level of society, every level of your conception of understanding, every level of your aura, every level of your decision making, all, like your daily momentary, plans. It's like just only the vision is steadfast, the rest constantly moving and changing. And so it doesn't make sense, this retrograde season of our personal planets journeying within, as we completely rearrange our whole reality so we can be the ones that can step forward to demonstrate and lead humanity into this new reality. We know this in our hearts and souls. We've been denied this reality. And now we need to just step up and own it and demonstrate it. So it's a very powerful activation of who you are, SuperNova, and that's coming back to the astrology of right now, the sun in opposition to Uranus for the next couple of days. Like, can't get out of this one. You are who you are. And so how do we come to terms with this? And what does that really mean? We don't know. But we can dream, and we can vision, and we can align. So what's happening is that Mercury on the 12th came into his first square with Saturn in this retrograde. And then Mercury is opposing Jupiter today, exact. So it's very interesting, this astrology. We could talk for hours and days about it, but we'll come to some sort of conclusion here at some point. But Mercury in square to Saturn and opposing Jupiter will happen 3 times over this retrograde. And each time it happens, they get closer and closer together in square, Jupiter and Saturn. So Mercury is like putting pressure on this pressure chamber to align with a greater dream. That the changes, we can't keep going the way we're going because we're not telling the truth and we're not living the truth. Jupiter square Saturn in Gemini and Pisces. And so that it's very important energy right now because Mercury's starting this whole saga that we're talking about, that Jupiter square Saturn on the 24th and 25th of December. So it's like kind of like, moving us into this next chapter. And then on the 26th, a week from tomorrow, we've got that Mercury turning retrograde, and that's kind of where it's like, boom, 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 boom. Okay, hold on. Where are we at? What are we doing? And so Mercury right now in Sag opposing Jupiter, saying, hey, what about let's speak, let's give voice to the vision. Let's give voice to the dream. This has been one of the hardest things for supernova souls in the targeting. Maybe you don't even realize the targeting you've experienced. But one of the ways is isolation, and then being surrounded by people or individuals, karmic individuals over lifetimes. But in this life, the way it played out a lot of times is individuals who continually invalidate you in your spiritual truth and your intuition to get you to doubt it. We're coming to a time of great validation where everything you thought, I think I have something bigger. I think there's something inside me, that needs to be expressed. I think there's a bigger path for me. I think there's more to me. I don't know, maybe I'm just crazy. It's like, no, you were right all along, and you're about to be vindicated in a massive way. And can you be humble? And can you be down to earth? This is what Mother says. The most important thing for us is to come back to what really matters. And then that's an individual journey, and then the collective. There's things playing out in the world. How do we come back to what really matters? Because we got to do that before we can receive our massive abundance. It's a spiritual inheritance, but it does translate to physical abundance as well. So that's kind of the energy of that. And now, so Mercury triggering this Jupiter square Saturn, it's kind of like this energy goes all the way through the middle of January. And it's this tension around not being able to continue to go the same way we've been going, with lies and deceit, and cutting out the voice of the feminine and taking away our creation forces and our expression of truth and all. It's kind of like all that's been suppressed within us, just waiting to explode like a volcano. And supernova volcano is very powerful. So this is this inward journey. This is this Mars retrograde. It's like, hold on. Let's get in alignment. Let's get absolutely in alignment with the highest version of what we're doing, so we can just step right on it. That timeline, that sparkly timeline, it's like there, it's just coming into form, just gradually coming into form. And it's like, oh, can you see it? Can you see it? Can you stop it? Can you own it? Can you know it? And that's kind of the gift of the Sagittarius energy, to kind of snap us out of the doldrums of the lower play and the mundane and the invalidation and the lower matrix and the day-to-day scarcity survival, and being like, wow, I feel again. Now I got to go within, because when you feel again, you have to feel all those things you haven't felt. And Jupiter square Saturn is about coming out of suppression, and we live in a society of suppression. For us, it's our dreams and visions and talents and skills and healing and love and, all that hasn't been expressed. And then in the world and collective, it's truth. So these things coming to the foreground. Now, another thing that we're feeling, now let's just talk about this, okay? Because when this Jupiter square Saturn happens in December, the 24th, 25th, at the same time, we also have Jupiter square Saturn, Gemini, Pisces, everything we just talked about. Then we've got a cardinal square. This is very important because we're starting to feel this one right now too. Chiron square Black Moon Lilith. Chiron is our wounds, our deepest wounds in Aries. It's about where we've given our power and our life force away. Black Moon Lilith, deep dark secrets, often of the feminine, or around intuition, or around our free energy, mysteries, miracles, the truth of who we really are. Those are divine feminine secrets. And so that's been hidden, but in relationships. So it's deep, dark secrets around relationships. And that's the relationships we've gotten into with these control forces that have stolen our life force, Chiron and Aries. So Chiron and Black Moon Lilith is also about exposure. It's about of this darkest truth that we have been manipulated by those we trusted the most. Again and again and again. And we know the story. Supernovas, we've lived it every single lifetime. Oh, so hard. And so we're healing this. So for us individually, we're taking back our power from control-based relationships that we've experienced throughout our lifetimes and this lifetime. And so that is very, very powerful because it's a square saying that Jupiter square Saturn, we can't keep going the way we've been going. the adjustment that needs to be made is a new start, cardinal starters, healing the wounds, finding the truth so we can take back our energy. Learning the truth about how we've been manipulated by relationships with control forces, lower control forces, and how they drained our energy out of us. And we gave it away because we didn't know we had it. Yeah, sure, we'll pay electrical bill, push it through the wires. Oh, wait, you want to push 5G through our own energy field and our bone marrow? No, I don't think so. Enough hijacking of the human energy force, right? So it's everything we've been talking about. And so these two squares coming together, it's like we can't keep going the way we're going. The voice needs to be heard again. The delusions need to be cleaned up of the past, and we've got to take our energy back from those that stole it from us and know we deserve it and can handle it, right? So that's Uranus and Taurus. Okay, so those two squares are happening, and we talked about how Mercury is starting to trigger that Jupiter square Saturn. Venus, on the other hand, is just about to trigger Chiron square Black Moon Lilith. Venus comes into square with Black Moon Lilith on the 26th, the same day that Mercury turns retrograde. Very powerful. And then comes into a square with Chiron on the 28th of November. So right there for Thanksgiving in the US, Venus square Chiron. And so Venus square Black Moon Lilith, Venus square Chiron, it's triggering the square, and we're starting the energy of the square. And we started, the official start of that Chiron square Black Moon Lilith is November 21st. And so right now we're moving into this energy, and we'll feel that through the middle of January as well. So from now to the middle of January is a chapter, and it is claiming back the vision, the greatest story never fully told. We better tell the story, or we don't get to move forward in the story. And if we don't tell the story, and so that's really powerful energy. So those Venus transits coming up at the end of next week, we'll start feeling those in the next couple of days, actually, Venus square Black Moon Lilith. And so this next week is this energy of Venus in Capricorn. So we're talking about the authority that the feminine has been under, but also what is feminine authority. And so feminine authority is taking back the energy of our life force, right? Because we could only get into this vibration of scarcity and poverty by buying into the fact that, they had to cut us off from our energy source, from that connection to the mother, from knowing that we have God consciousness right in our very own body. So they had to cut us off. The control forces had to cut us off from our connection to source and mother in order to control us, in order to create scarcity, in order to control us. And so Venus in Capricorn is about coming back to the authority of the feminine, the true authority, which is where we all get our own energy, and it's abundant. There's no other way. It's abundant. She regenerates herself moment by moment. We are doing this too right now. This is the message that we've gotten, that in order to claim our organic form right now with all the nanotech and poisons in our body and the frequencies, we are developing and remembering this incredible ability we have as advanced souls, supernova souls, to regenerate our body on a cellular level. This means we're already age regressing. It might not look like it because we're battling against all this stuff. But when this all goes away, we talked about it, then we awaken immediately, and then we regenerate immediately. Do you understand what this inheritance really is starting to mean? And so Venus in these squares with Black Moon Lilith and Libra, the dark secrets and giving our power away, we understand that we've done that because we lost our feminine authority. We lost our connection to the mother, and we lost that feeling that she's in our field protecting us and loving us at all times. And so that is the feminine authority. And it's a challenge to each of us So that's what this next week is about, is a challenge to each of us to take back our energy. And it kind of sets the flavor, the tone of this whole next season. This chapter, like we talked about, Mercury retrograde begins on the 26th, ends on December 16th, and then, but doesn't come out of retrograde shadow till the beginning of January. And so all the way through mid-January, this chapter of these squares and Mercury retrograde in Sag. 22 degrees Sag to 6 degrees, 22 degrees, a master builder number, talking about the big dream of the advanced technologies of who we really are on Earth that's been stolen and hidden from us. The master builder race, the true, powerful, ancient ancestors, that's us, the giants, and activating into the original dream. And then transiting back to 6 degrees, that's the human, the number of human, and claiming back. Because how can we get to 9 if we can't get past 6? 6 is our humanness, so if we don't have our humanness, we cannot evolve into that being the electrical devices that we are. It requires our humanness. Otherwise, it's over and we just become robots. And so we're teetering on this edge of reality. It's a very powerful time, and maybe you feel this and much in all the struggles and heaviness and weirdness. It's like your load is lightening, your inheritance is coming, you're claiming back all that's yours. And it's so beautiful. It just feels good. So just we can stop worrying about how we're going to get what we need, because in that state of connection with her, all is handled in the moment. And we're co-creating, we're coming together, it's happening. So be there, immersing yourself in nature on whatever level that's possible right now is so powerful with the water, talking with the waters. We're so much water in our body, and the earth is so much water, and then we can talk to these waters. We know that water is our subconscious. It is our intuition. It is our feminine. And so we can listen to the waters of the earth, and we can talk to the waters and tell the waters how much we love her. And how much we appreciate her, and tell that water to the water in your body, tell it to the water that you drink, I love you so much, and then we're birthing a new world, just like the astrology says. And now it's time for you to play your part. It's very different than what you thought, but looks like it might be quite an adventure. So I think that's a big turnaround for us, right? We know that Saturn's changing his story, turning direct, that we're rearranging our relationship individually to Saturn, how much obstacles and blocks we need. And now can Saturn work for us, especially since Saturn is having a restart, moving into the sign of Aries. So we're all having a restart and a reevaluation, and stepping into this kind of like using this time, it's like understanding the role of the opposition and the obstacles, and being able to transmute and transform the alchemy, the scalar wave, the perfect balance between the masculine and the feminine, and allowing the magic to come back in our lives. So Saturn rearranging is saying, hey, are you ready to have shit work for you rather than against you? Now, can you receive that? Can you let the tables turn? Can't be part way. It's got to be all the way. We got to go all the way, right? We can't have a little of this, little of that. That's why we have to have this glorious demolition of all the structures, because just like Mom said, they can't take us where we're going. And the new structures we're building in our energy field with the Mother, New Earth. Yeah. So keep up the great work, and thank you so much for being here and being a Supernova Soul, going through all you've gone through. Thank you for your support, being a part of the Supernova Soul tribe, being a part of these activations, and saying yes to this connection energetically, whatever level. Just being here, present, listening to these to this information coming through for Supernova Souls is supporting your tribe. And it's so beautiful to be connected on this level. And we know the next phase is coming together powerfully. We keep getting taken to these amazing locations in our activations and guided meditations and sessions. And that's what she says she wants us to do, is come together at these locations on Earth and sing and dance and play and pray and commune with her and celebrate with her. And this is how we heal, reactivate, and invite the energy to move in our body and her body. The meridian points, the mother dragon waking up, and we get to celebrate this with her. So it's a very important time we're moving into, and just try to come into the reverence of this. Like all the rebirthing we've talked about, but really happening for the whole earth, and you're a steward of her. Are you a midwife for humanity? And is this why you've been pushed into your own rebirth ahead of time? It's been excruciating and painful and so lonely, but it's not going to be that way moving forward. Remind yourself of this. Like, this is not, it's not what's happening, right? Yeah, it might feel like retrograde hell, like never going to get out of the old traps of the past, but it's about bringing it all to the foreground, especially the contractual arrangements with these entities or energies or other people where we have been leaking our energy out and giving it away. And now we stand in the mother's authority. We take it back and say it's only going to be used for this. And isn't that what's happening in our world? We're not going to poison it anymore. We're not going to create weapons and war anymore. Mom says no. We've come to the end of that timeline. We can feel it in our heart and our soul, and just live in that and breathe in that and know that that's true, and know what a powerful role you've played in creating this dream and will play as we continue to co-create together. And just take heart in that. It's going to be very, very different, right? This is why we're so lost, because it's going to be so different. Can we let ourselves dream and imagine and vision? Jupiter square Saturn in mutable signs is like it. Breaking can't do it that way, but it's an adjustment. It's like, yeah, because we're going to do it this way now. And Saturn is saying the birth of Saturn, a rebirth of Saturn, the end of the Matrix timeline, and a rebirth of the Christ consciousness timeline. And so it's a rebirth of the Christ consciousness in all of us. And that's exactly what we're talking about with our light body. And that owning your energetic field course, coming into this culmination over these next few weeks, all the chakra work together. And these courses can stand alone workshop, but it's kind of fun to do them as a series as well. So owning your energetic field this Thursday, and we will be delving into the crown chakra. So thank you so much for being here and being a part of these activations, the videos, the information coming through, living and breathing your truth. And I cannot wait to see what happens as we move forward together. But it's a little bit of a standstill for a while. But this standstill means, like we said, we're going into the wilderness within our own being to meet with the mother again, to face down the forces that keep pulling us off of her path, and living the truth that we're meant to live right here, right now. And so this is what this time is about. So a big shift, though, with the sun moving into Sag this week. And then also we've got that joining, coming in the Mercury retrograde in Sag. And so it's taking some time to contemplate and understand better the bigger purpose and the bigger vision of what it is we came here to do. So very powerful. We're going to lead into next week. We'll have the next lunation, a Sagittarius new moon. That will be on Saturday, November. It'll be on November 30th or December 1st. And so that Sagittarius new moon is kind of going to be that in mountain time. It's at 11:22 p.m. on Saturday, November 30th. So most of the world, it's December 1st, but that Sag new moon is really a definitive start of the story being told fully, reclaiming the feminine by stepping on, bring her back to her throne, by each of us coming into this loving relationship with our body, our life, our experience, our connection to our intuition, our emotions, listening to the mother's voice through our body, and our whole world listening to the feminine again. That's what this is about in order to move forward. Also, technologies and mysteries. So we're uncovering it all within us and the world. Now, one of the most important things I forgot to mention that's happening this week, starting on, we'll start to feel this on Already we're feeling this. Mars is in Leo and coming into trine with the north node of the moon in Aries. Now the sun is moving over into Sag, like we said, on the 22nd, and then we'll come into a trine with the north node in Aries. Now this is the north node in Aries is coming to the end of its time because it moves backwards, right? So like we said, January 12th, it's going to move into Pisces. And so this part of the nodes is always like, did you get the message? Did you get the message? Did you get the message? And how beautiful to have a sweet, beautiful, fiery, powerful, grand fire trine here with Mars in Leo, the sun in Sag, and the north node of the moon in Aries. And so the north node in Aries moving forward in a new way, which is autonomy, owning our energy back. The sun in Sag, we're remembering who we are in the greater vision and of this whole evolution. And Mars and Leo, warriors for the light and warriors for the expression of this light, which is actually divine feminine mysteries, the electricity in our body. So very powerful. And that happens from the 23rd to the 26th is when Mars is trine the north node. And then the sun comes into trine with the north node on the 26th and a trine with Mars on the 27th. So very powerful, magical time. We'll start feeling that right when the sun moves over into Sag on the 22nd. So even though we've got all these squares, because we've got Venus triggering Black Moon Lilith square Chiron, Mercury triggering Saturn square Jupiter, but then we have a grand fire trine. This is what it's about, guys. This is what it's about. It's about our fire, our light, our creation force, and shining the light as who we are. Warriors for shining the light, which requires an integration of the feminine, and containing and owning, and living the dream. You know, if we don't understand the bigger vision of this whole evolution, that we are to become light, then we don't understand the integration of the feminine in order to turn that light on. And so these are the deep mysteries of these times, and it's so powerful. So let's keep in touch, keep talking about it. But enjoy this very interesting time of, like, first of all, lightening of the load. We're coming out of the dark season. We're coming back into the hope, the phoenix, the rebirth. And yet we're grinding to a halt at the same time. And maybe it's because we need to pause, rest, heal from all we've gone through, and reorient, begin this reorientation process. So just be very, very patient with yourself, because everything's falling away in order for the true you to be born, and you don't even know who that is. We've gotten this message, that who we are, supernova souls, is like there's this bigger part of ourselves that hasn't been able to land. Astrology says, this Mars retrograde says, I think that's kind of what's going on. And it's like we've been fighting and pushing and fighting and pushing, but it feels like maybe Pluto moving into Capricorn is kind of like a release, a sweet release, where it's kind of like the pressure's off, but we don't really know what we're doing or where we're going yet. We need to calm down. We need to rest. We need to recover, reset, so that we're not creating the stress, poverty, trauma vibration anywhere in our field, right? So that feels like what this next period of time is about. So let's stay connected. Thank you so much, Supernova Souls, for all your support, for being here. I love you so much. I look forward to connecting with you soon on the next update, perhaps that Owning Your Energetic Field course. I look forward to seeing you then. Until then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.